You just got a DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and you can't figure out why you are getting crap footage out of it. Well, this is where Tight Shirt Terry Warfield comes to save the day. Come on with me, I'm gonna show you how to fix it. What's up, y'all? It's Tight Shirt Terry Warfield. I'm back for another video. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Remember to be thankful for your freaking life today because you did not have to have that. Before we get on with the meat and potatoes, let me just say this video is sponsored by Artlist. I will tell y'all all about them a little later in this video, but I need to set the room first, okay? The reason I'm making this video is because I'm always on Threads, I'm always on Instagram and stuff like that, and I see so many people complaining how their Osmo Pocket 3 just doesn't give them good quality footage. And first of all, I think people need to remember that the Osmo Pocket 3 is a tiny camera. It's not a huge mirrorless or cinema camera, so it has limitations. And part of working any camera is learning how to work around that camera's limitations and get the best quality out of it. The other thing is people have this idea, because a lot of people are buying the Pocket 3 as their first camera, that because I bought my first real camera, that it's gonna just give me a Netflix documentary right away. And again, just like any camera, whether it's cheap or expensive, getting the best quality out of it, it does take some work and some finesse. So let's talk about some of the things that we are doing wrong with the Osmo Pocket 3 that are causing us to get bad footage out of it, because it's actually very, very capable once you understand its limitations and learn how to work through them. First thing is you're using the Osmo Pocket 3 in auto mode. And you know, every camera has an automatic mode. Auto mode means the camera's making all of the decisions when it comes to exposure, color, all of that stuff, but that's not what we want if we want to get the best footage out of our Pocket 3s. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with auto mode. It's fine if you just want to turn it on, you don't care about how good the image looks, you just want to capture the moment, that's fine. But to get the best out of it, we got to change a few things. So the first thing that we need to do is set our resolution. So we're going to swipe up from the bottom and I'm going to change this over to 4K 24. Now, some people prefer to go with 4K 30, especially the new age teeny boppers that live on TikTok and all that stuff. But if you really want cinematic footage, I recommend going with 4K 24. And by the way, I have a whole in-depth video on how to set up your Osmo Pocket for cinematic filmmaking. I'll leave that at the end of this video. I'm just gonna give you a high-level, brief overview of my favorite settings on it, but make sure you watch that video after this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and swipe over from the right-hand side, and this is gonna give us access to all of our color and exposure tools, right? So by default, this is set to automatic. We need to go ahead and press the Pro button, which expands the menu, gives us all of the options that we want. So the first thing that we wanna do is tap on exposure, and we want to change that from auto over to manual. Now, once you change it over to manual, we're gonna have to change some settings in here, y'all. So because we picked 24 frames a second as our shutter speed, if we want to get the best cinematic feel to our video, then our shutter speed should double our frame rate as closely as possible. So since I picked 24, the closest I could get is 1/50th. And also with that, on the right hand side, you have your ISO. Now ISO is just changing how sensitive the sensor is to light. I'm getting real nerdy. The higher you push that number, the brighter the image will get, but it also introduces what's called noise. So that makes it look all fuzzy and grainy. So we want to typically stay below 1600 if we can. Now there's two ways you could do ISO. You can set it independently just by picking a value, or you can pick an ISO range in there. So that part is completely up to you, but I'm just going to pick 100 and hit confirm. Now the next thing we need to do is set our white balance, because you do not want your white balance changing, especially when you outside mid-clip, because it is so hard to correct. Now the easiest way to do this, if you have no clue what white balance means, you can press on white balance and there's an option for AWB or auto white balance. This will allow the camera to pick the white balance for you, and once it picks it, you can just switch it over to manual and it will go ahead and lock that number in for you. Do this before you start recording every clip so that your white balance is not changing mid-clip. Make sure the glamour effects are turned off. We're going to skip over the color part just for this section, and I want you to go to image adjustment and switch that over to custom and change sharpness and noise reduction to -2 on both sides. This is going to give you the most cinematic looking footage so it doesn't look all digital and all of that crap. Then let's hit confirm. And in focus mode, you have three options in here: single, continuous, and product showcase. Go ahead and set it to continuous. That's just the camera always looking for the best autofocus point. Now the next mistake that you're making is not switching this over to D-Log. So by default, the color profile is normal, and this is good for people who just want to, you know, run and gun. They just want to capture it to share it for Instagram and social networks. It's colorful, it's punchy, but the Osmo Pocket 3 tends to make it brighter than it should be. I'm going to show you how to fix that in a little bit. But if you want the most out of your image, then you got to flip it over to D-Log M. Now D-Log is going to give you a super flat look. So it's going to take a little bit of work in post to correct it. However, it's well worth the effort. Now, I actually made 9 custom LUTs for the Osmo Pocket 3 that make this super easy. They take you from the D-Log M to a normal color look, and then a normal color look to a stylized look. The only thing you got to do is download them to your favorite program and drag them right on top of the footage, and they take care of everything for you. So make sure you check those out in the description. They have made so many people's lives so much better with the Osmo Pocket 3. So let's go ahead and press color 2 times until we get the D-Log M. Now, the next thing a lot of y'all are doing wrong is y'all need to slow your behind down when it comes to your movements with the camera. A lot of people get the Osmo Pocket 3 and think that it's some type of action camera, and it's not. Yes, it has a gimbal on top, but it's designed to smooth out your normal everyday movements, not all of this, you know, jumping, herky-jerky stuff. So slow your behind down, okay? And the other thing I want you to do is swipe down from the top of the screen, and at the bottom, there's a dude there. This is gonna control how fast the gimbal rotates. So by default, it ships on default. There's an option for slow, default, and fast. Change this over to slow. So you changing over to slow gimbal speed and slowing down your movements will give you much better looking footage. Now, because you are thinking about an Osmo Pocket 3, or you have one, hence the reason you're watching this video, I'm gonna assume that you're some type of video creator because it's a video camera. And this is what I want to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Artlist. If you've never heard of Artlist before, they're the one-stop shop for creators. They have everything that you need in one place. So they have your royalty-free, copyright-free music, sound effects, templates, stock footage, plugins, all of that stuff. And in 2024, they actually added in AI voiceovers, so you can create high quality voiceovers with all these different voices and stuff like that. And LUTs, if you want to take color graded even further, they have a ton of them. So 2024 was a wow year, but 2025 is about to be so lit. They're going to be added in a ton more assets, including generative AI, which is going to make life so much easier for creatives. As an example, in 2025, AI voiceover is becoming even more sophisticated. So it'll go from text to speech, but there'll also be an option for speech to speech. The search function is becoming way more powerful to help you find all of those assets you need. The addition of multi-asset collections and so much more is coming in 2025. Now, I highly encourage you, if you've never tried out Artlist or you're a creator, go on there and try out this stuff for free. You will not be disappointed, but you will want more. And because of that, I have a link in the description in the pinned comment of this video that you can click on and get 2 free months on an annual max plan, which gives you everything that you need as a content creator, but you gotta hit the link in the description. 2024 was already crazy for Artlist. 2025, we are really turning up the heat. So thank you to Artlist for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the next thing that you are doing wrong with your Osmo Pocket 3. You see this little thing that I just put on the front of the Osmo Pocket 3? This is called an ND filter, and you not using them is why your footage looks all digital and everything like that. So remember how I showed you earlier that you need to control your shutter speed by picking a shutter speed that's double your frame rate? Well, the problem with this is on a traditional camera, you have an aperture that you can use, which is a little diaphragm inside the lens that you can close down to eliminate some of the light. With an Osmo Pocket 3, you can't do that. If you have your shutter speed set over 1/50 and you go outside, your image is going to be completely white. So this is why we need to use ND filters. Now, ND filters for the Osmo Pocket 3 are magnetic, so all you have to do is snap them on the front of it. But think about these ND filters like sunglasses. Basically, they cut out light entering into the camera, thus lowering your exposure, which is really what we need because we want to maintain that 180-degree shutter rule that I talked about. That is what gives us the most natural movie-looking motion blur. Now, DJI does sell ND filters as a set. It comes with 3 different intensities. I would probably recommend to go with the other ones from Freewell on Amazon because they come in so many different strengths, where the ones from DJI only come in 3, and it's a little hassle to work with. So go online. I'll put the link in the description to which ones you should buy. But you got to use ND filters to control your shutter speed, or your footage will look super digital looking. The other reason that your footage is looking like trash out of your Osmo Pocket 3 is because you're not paying attention to your highlights. So we have to remember that the Osmo Pocket 3 has a tiny sensor. It doesn't have a bigger sensor like a mirrorless camera that can capture a ton of dynamic range. And dynamic range is just the relationship in the image between the shadow, so the dark part, the midtones, and also the highlights, which are the bright parts. Now, blown highlights are one of the biggest telltale signs that somebody has no clue what they're doing, and they also are one of those things that make your footage look super amateurish, super cell phony. We don't want that. Now, Unfortunately, because the Osmo Pocket 3 doesn't have any advanced tools to help us avoid clipping our highlights, we have to go in there and make sure that we're doing it by ourselves. So I found the easiest way to do this is if you take a look in the upper right hand corner, there's a meter that says blank EV, okay? EV means exposure value. And when it says 0, then that means our scene is pretty evenly exposed. Well, the Osmo Pocket 3 has a tendency to think that even with the exposure showing 0, that the image is evenly exposed, and it's not, because the highlights are easily clipped. So because of that, let's make sure that our EV reading is like a -0.3 to a -0.7, okay? Now, because the Osmo Pocket 3 does have a tiny sensor and it doesn't have a ton of dynamic range, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't work, but I found the other solution is if you get into a situation, we try to lower the exposure and that makes the subject matter too dark. Sometimes it's best to just find a different composition or find a way to shoot downwards away from the sky and away from the bright light than upward. Sometimes just moving around can fix your problem. The last tip I'm going to give you in this video is you're not using your gimbal modes properly. So if we swipe down from the top, there's a little icon on the lower right hand side that looks like the Osmo Pocket 3 in this case, and this brings up our gimbal modes. Now these gimbal modes dictate how the gimbal operates. Now I found under normal circumstances, if you just vlogging and stuff like that, it's best to leave it on follow. Follow, the gimbal will follow the movement of your hand. So if you go left, right, up or down, it'll also translate that to the gimbal movement. So you still got smooth footage, but it also gives you a little bit of room and it makes it look a little bit more organic, okay? If you want to get that cinematic look, that slower locked off style footage, you want to switch this to tilt locked. And what this will do is it'll keep the horizon level for you while still give you some freedom to move the gimbal and the camera around. This is really useful for like doing panning shots or jib style shots. Any of those shots, you want to make sure it's in tilt lock. The last two modes are the two FPV modes, which I only use these when I know I'm going for an FPV look. Otherwise, FPV footage, in my opinion, looks very, very amateurish, and I would only use it in special circumstances where I know I want that type of look. Otherwise, just leave it in follow mode for a majority of the time. But knowing that these modes are here and switching them according to the situation is going to help you get way better footage out of your Osmo Pocket 3. Now, I have an entire playlist on the Osmo Pocket 3. I will leave it linked at the end of this video. There's tons of videos on there, tons of tips and tricks, how-to information, all that stuff. So make sure y'all check that out after this video. Also, make sure that you grab those LUTs that I created for the Osmo Pocket 3. The link for those are in the description. And then lastly, thank you to Artlist for sponsoring today's video. They have been my biggest partner in 2024, and I'm so hyped to see what the 2025 year brings with all of these advancements that they're making. I'm so hyped to check it out. Link will be in the description. If you like this video, make sure that you subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when new videos go up. Until next time, I'm out of here. Tight shirt, Terry Warfield. Peace and chicken grease. I'm out, y'all. Much love. Peace.